Hello everyone, welcome to NiftyVerse. Today we are going to discuss on a special trading strategy for Nifty Options Scalping on 1 minute charts. So today we are going to learn about how we can use the Zerodha GTT feature, which is the good to trigger feature for options scalping. So let me first tell you a few things about the GTT. So GTT is a feature by Zerodha called good to trigger. So the first thing, very important thing is that we can use the GTT for only positional trades. Intraday, that is MIS orders, cannot be placed with GTT. So you might wonder, you are talking about intraday and scalping trades, but still you are asking about positional trades. So you will know it very soon. Although we take a normal NRML order, but still the GTT will be triggered within the minute, so we have to exit the trade in and out within a minute. So the next thing is, while placing a entry, we can place the target and stop loss for buy or sell orders both at the time of the entry itself in GTT. So as soon as the price of the underlying option hits the trigger value what we placed in GTT, the GTT places an order at the place we have indicated in the trade. So I'm going to show you with an example in the next. So while placing the order, we can keep the target and stop loss in percentage. So that's not a absolute values, that will be in percentage. But if we want to modify the values, we can modify the trigger price and the price of the underlying option later, but just before it triggers. Okay. The next, there are some rules for option scalping. This is for any scalping method, like not only this particular GTT special, but still it applicable for all the videos or all the option scalping strategies wherever we take an entry and exit. So there are 4 compulsory rules which everyone needs to follow. The first and foremost thing is the conditions. You need to be very sure of what conditions are you taking before you are making a trade. Okay, so make sure all the conditions are satisfied before you take an entry. And then the next is entries. You have to be very confident on what point are you taking the entry of a trade. So when you take an entry, it has to satisfy all the conditions. Okay, and you need to be very confident while taking the entry at the correct point of the chart. And the next is stops. Stops is the stop loss which we have to, which is a very necessary tool for all trades. Without stop loss, your trade will go really bad. Okay, so make sure you keep a stop loss in place, but you don't have to keep the stop loss for this particular trade. I'm going to explain it next. And the last is targets. So target is always very important in scalping, because without a target you cannot achieve it within the less time, that is within a minute. Okay, so C.E.S.T is the rules I have made, like this is being followed by most of the American traders, and there are a lot of YouTube channels who can explain about C.E.S.T in more detail, but I am just revising it just because of to make it more easier to understand the next steps. And now the conditions. Okay, so I usually trade on 1 minute charts, and as you can see in this chart, I use the Heikin-Ashi candlesticks for 1 minute chart, and there are few things I observe before taking an entry into the trade. So I see the Heikin-Ashi candle should be green, and there are 3 indicators here. As you can see, this is a 20 moving average, this is a 50 moving average, and this is a 100 moving average. So although it is a 1 minute chart, but the moving averages play a really important role because they act as a support and resistance at some point of time. So here if you see, this is a candle where it is showing a green candle after a green candle, and it is trading slightly above the 20 moving average. So this is indicating a bullish signal. So I take an entry here, and you can see that the next candle, and this is for the Nifty futures chart. Okay, this is Nifty July futures. So as you can see, if I take an entry here, the next candle is more than the previous candle, which means my 1 minute entry will be successful. I will explain in detail of this trade on a live trading video in a few days, but this is just for understanding. Okay, so this is just a part 1 of the video. I'll make sure that I'll make it very clear in a live trading session. The next is entries. So when you are sure of the conditions, so you have to take an entry. For example, in the previous trade, I saw an entry at this point, but as you can see, at this point there is no there is no 20 EMA crossover or anything indication here, but the option price will definitely go up as soon as you see that there is a price variation in Nifty. So ideally what I do is I take all trades below 1 lakh, means the entire capital should be 1 lakh. You can have more amount in your account, but you deploy only 1 lakh for this particular trade. And as here you can see that it's only using 95,000 right now. The spot price is right now, this is just for example. So Nifty spot price, as you can see, it is at 16,227, or you can say this is the July futures spot price. So this is 16,227. So for 16,227, the underlying value for 16,000 call option, which is on the weekly expiry, the 16,000 call option is trading at 272 rupees. Why I am taking so in the money call option? Because when you are doing the scalping, you can gain very less, but you should always lose less. So make sure that always trade on an option whose underlying value is more than 200 or 250. So if you are taking quantity of more than 250, you can get only 350 quantity, that is like 7 lots for the 1 lakh capital. So while placing the order, you have to make sure you have to put an overnight NRML order, and the quantity, the price. This price can be a market order or limit order. If you are confident that your order will execute, you can put a limit order, but ideally I keep a market order so that it takes at the market price, and I keep a target. This is the GTT section. Okay, so here we can put stop loss as well as target, but I am not putting any stop loss here. I'll explain it later, and I'll put a target of 1% and I place the buy order. Okay, so what happens is this 1% will trigger within a few seconds. Okay, so for example, right now this 272 is the indicative price of the option, but if you see in this particular candle, here the price was around 245. So if I take an entry here, within the next candle you can see that this is taken a high of 253. So the 1% is almost 2.5 rupees. So if you take an entry at 245, your target is 1%. That means the trade will get executed at 247.5, which means this trade is successful. So this is how I take the entries. And the next is stops. So for stop loss, I don't use a stop loss trigger in GTT, because if you take a stop loss trigger, there are quite more chances that it will trigger before the target, or it will trigger first and then it will go to the target. So I don't keep any stop loss in the GTT order, but I keep it, I exit the trade as soon as a 1 minute ends. Like I keep a stop loss just beside the trade, and as soon as I see that it's hitting 1 minute, I place the exit order from the positions. Like in Zerodha, you can see the positions, and as soon as you see that 1 minute is over, you can go to the positions and exit that trade. Because if you don't exit in 1 minute, the trade could go drastically wrong. Like if there is a big candle down the downside, you cannot get out of the trade. It will be very, very risky. So there are some times where you will face big losses, but the the probability of profit is more in this strategy. So the trades which are in the which might trigger the GTT are pretty more, and within 1 minute, that is. So first thing is you have to fulfill the conditions. Second thing is you have to make sure of the entries, and the third thing is you have to take care of the stop loss. Like as soon as the 1 minute candle hits, the 1 minute is your stop loss. Okay, so place a market order to exit the trade from positions after 1 minute, and after you place this order, just delete the GTT. In Zerodha you can see it in the orders. So here you see, so there you can go and delete the GTT. Okay, and now the targets. So for targets, you can see the target here. Like for example, for my trade which I placed earlier, the GTT trigger for 1% is 275. That is for 272. The trigger price would be 275, but the LTP is 272.4. So this is the price I am buying. This is the trigger with which it will sell. So the target will execute within a few seconds. I usually trade like for 10 to 15 seconds or 30 seconds the target will get hit, because my conditions are very strong. Okay, so as soon as your target hits, you can exit out of the trade. So right now this is the part 1 I have made. I will make a second video for part 2, and I'll explain more on a live trading to explain it better. Thank you very much everyone.